Well, Tokyo is so crowded the government is paying families to leave.
Japan's paternity leave laws are perhaps the most generous in the world.
For some of you, moving to Japan would be a dream come true. Outside looking in, Japan seems to be a thriving and generous society. The government gives you money to move. Both mothers and fathers are entitled for up to 12 months of paid parental leave. The island country also offers a ton of beauty. There is so much nature to see from the northern island of Hokkaido all the way south in Okinawa. In many ways, it's an ideal country. But if you look closer, while all of that is true, there is a much darker side to Japan. So in this video, we'll discuss the real reason the Japanese government is offering these incentives and what that will mean to people who are interested in either moving to or investing in Japan in the future. If you're new here, my name is Matsuo Post and welcome to my channel. I'm Japanese and a long-distance real estate investor in Japan, but don't invest here in Japan. So why the heck do I keep talking about investing in Japan? Because investing in Japanese real estate can be a smart move for the right people and right circumstances. Maybe it's for you, but it's just not for me, at least for now. And later in this video, I will share my thoughts around the type of people who I think should invest in Japanese real estate and who I think shouldn't. So let's get started. Growing up in a small town in Japan, I never really appreciated what this country had to offer to its people. The mild climate with 4 beautiful seasons, the punctuality of the transportation system, and the people. The exceptional customer service at shops and even at convenience stores. But after living outside of Japan for nearly 15 years and traveling to dozens of countries, I realized that these aren't normal qualities of a country. I lived in 2 very capitalistic places, the United States and Hong Kong, for a total of 15 years. I see benefits of the capitalistic system as well as the flaws. Regardless of your political views, Japan is the only example of collective capitalism, which is a form of capitalism where ownership and decision making are shared among a group of people, promoting cooperation, equality, and the sense of community. So in a nutshell, I describe the Japanese economic system to be somewhere in the middle between capitalistic and socialistic. One example of this is Japan is giving families money to move out of Tokyo. The government is now offering families up to 1 million yen or $7,600 per child to move out of the country's capital and the most populous city. And this amount is more than triple of the previous offer from 2019. On top of that, families who take the offer are also eligible for up to 3 million yen or $23,000 in one-time financial support, and even more if they start a business. Another example is Japan's generous childbirth allowance and parental leave system. As of April 1st, 2023, if you give birth to a child in Japan, you're entitled for a lump sum childbirth and childcare allowance of 500,000 yen or $3,700. As for parental leave, both mothers and fathers are entitled for up to 12 months of paid leave. Cool, but how much do you get paid? Up to 66% of your salary for the first 6 months and 50% of the second 6 months. My wife and I took full advantage of this system when we had our first child and took 12 months and 7 months of parental leave, respectively. It was totally worth it, and I highly recommend others to do it if you can afford it. If you're interested in the details, I did a TED Talk on that. Some people think this is awesome and more countries should have a system like this, while others may think this type of system will only increase the taxes people need to pay. Yes, both are true. Compared to many capitalistic economies, Japan has higher taxes, which will naturally decrease the take-home amount for most workers. The question is, why does Japan keep incentivizing people to do things that most countries don't pay for their people? The quickest answer is to slow down or stop the declining population. Because fewer people mean a smaller workforce. A smaller workforce means less productivity. Less productivity means shrinking economy. I've talked about this several times in my previous videos, but it's no surprise that Japan's population is getting older and shrinking very rapidly. Japan's population has been in steady decline since its economic boom in the 1980s and stands at just under 125 million people today. Its fertility rate of 1.3 is far below the rate of 2.1 required to maintain a stable population in the absence of immigration. Since Japan refuses to loosen the immigration law, the government is focusing on increasing the fertility rate by launching various initiatives to enhance childcare services and improve housing facilities for families with children. Some rural towns have even begun paying couples who live there to have children. So if you want to have kids, Japan is a fantastic country to do it. and I speak from my personal experience. But are these initiatives working? Not really. The birth rate continues to decline even with all these initiatives. So the population continues to decline too. This decline in population is affecting all over the country, but especially in the rural areas. Towns and villages are disappearing and many homes are left abandoned. As of now, about 15% of all houses are empty, and this number continues to increase. So what's the problem? The government has realized that they cannot let these houses go to waste or stay abandoned, and they've come up with a plan to give them away for either free or at a very low price. But who wants to buy a free or cheap house if you know you're gonna have a really hard time selling it in the future? Not many. I didn't know this until I started talking more about this Akiya phenomenon, but Japan isn't the first country to take such initiatives. Apparently, Italy is actually trying to do something very similar to fight against this population decline. Towns across Italy are giving away houses for €1, or they'll even pay thousands of dollars to come and live there. But here's the catch. In order for new residents to land a free home, they must present a clear renovation proposal for the property and renovate it within a set duration. And apparently, renovation can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Is this initiative working? Well, it's a bit early to tell as the program is still quite new. Some people have taken up on the offer and moved to these towns, but there are also challenges. Many of these towns are in remote areas far from big cities and may not have a lot of job opportunities or amenities like schools and shops. So it is not for everyone. This sounds very familiar. It sounds almost exactly like what's happening in Japan. So what does this all mean to real estate investing in Japan? It means that the future of Japanese real estate is looking very dark. You're probably not going to build serious wealth by buying and holding real estate in Japan. I do have some friends in the heart of Tokyo whose homes have appreciated in the last few years, but I think that's more of an exception than the norm. For the most part, real estate in Japan will have less value in the future. Can you build wealth from cash flow by fixing these empty houses up and renting them out? That's possible, but it's probably not going to increase your wealth significantly. If you work hard at it and buy a few rentals in desirable locations, you may be able to replace your income from your daytime job with the cash flow. Owning a house in Japan may not make sense on the spreadsheet, but the cost of home ownership is relatively low compared to many other countries. If you dream of owning properties in Japan, it is a realistic and attainable goal, even for foreigners, and there are many non-financial benefits. So if you want to invest in your happiness, and your happiness is tied to owning a cheap house and living in rural Japan, investing in Akiya would absolutely make sense. If you're looking at it strictly from the financial aspect, I think there are many other options that will get you the financial returns you want. And this is exactly why I invest in appreciating markets like the US, even though I live in Japan. So whenever you see headlines like Japan's giving away millions of empty homes, you want to make sure if it's actually what you want. It can be a smart move for you if living in a rural Japanese town is what you want. On this channel, I've been rejecting the idea of investing in real estate in Japan because I do real estate investing purely to grow my financial wealth. But the more I learn and talk about it, I'm tempted to get one of these cheap houses in Japan for my primary home because they're literally everywhere around me. Should I do it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and share with someone who might benefit from watching this. And be sure to watch this video next for more.